would like to welcome all of you. Very good evening to everyone. Myself, Apurva Bhatnagar. I manage the BIG program at IKP. So I would like to welcome all of you and our partners, which is Aspire Bionest. Dr. Anil is there from Aspire Bionest, VIT, VHub, and AIC CCMB. And all the speakers. Dr. Madhu will be joining soon, who is CEO of AIC CCMB. Dr. Vaibhav Bhatia, from CEO of Lamarck Biotech, who's working on thermostable proteins. Dr. Vishwanathan Dupatla, all we know him as Dr. Vishu. He is Vice President of IKP and Head LSI Incubation Center at IKP. I think we should start and go ahead. I would like to give a brief intro for IKP. Most of you know about 200-acre premium science park at Genome Valley, Hyderabad, and more than 1,230 startups have been supported so far by IKP through various programs, funding, including funding, incubation, and other opportunities at IKP. And through its flagship program, which is BIG, Biotechnology Ignition Grant, 165 startups have been supported so far across all domains, which includes agriculture, industrial biotechnology, medical device, diagnostic sectors, drug delivery and biosimilars, and even waste management and clean energy. So if I would like to now go ahead with the BIG, which is a Biotechnology Ignition Grant. It is Idea 2 Proof of Concept Grant of 50 lakh rupees, which is given for 18 months. And the eligibility for the grant, any person who's a graduate, be it faculty member or any student who's a graduate, can apply, provided faculty member has to provide the NOC in order to be eligible for the grant. Any startup can apply who's not more than 5 years old. For any startup, this would be the eligibility criteria. The areas which are supported under BIG are medical device, like I mentioned just before, drugs, industrial, agriculture, waste management, diagnostics, and any AI ML based solution overlapping with all these areas would be eligible for BIG. The selection process is, so every 6 months the call opens for the application submission. It opens in each January and July every year, and the call lasts for 45 days. It includes the selection process, including online review, then face-to-face presentation, and then the cutoff of the scores have been decided, and top selected people are selected for the grant. The main evaluation criteria, what specifically for BIG, are these 5 criteria, which includes unmet need, and the numbers you are seeing beside is are the scoring provided by the reviewers every time whenever they review the BIG application. First is unmet need, then value proposition, how you position your product in the market, technical viability, your team and the core team strength, business perspective. Other than these criteria, commercialization potential is a must for BIG, IP, regulatory, and what outcome from your proposal or project would be there. It's an important criteria as well. I would request now Dr. Vishu to please take over and give the details about each component of the BIG. Thank you.
Very good afternoon to all of you, and thanks to our partners, VHub, VIT, Aspire Bionest, for arranging today's session. So the 5 points which Apurva mentioned are broadly covered under these 10 subparts. So when you are filling the application, these are the 10 things that you have to pay attention. And I must mention that yearly there are around 100 or so teams awarded the BIG grant of the 50 lakh rupees. And nowadays though it is still Idea to POC grant, it is very competitive. The applicants are coming with much more data than before. Though the grant per se doesn't ask for a preliminary data, but when there is a comparison, the technical feasibility and how your project is evaluated will depend on the relative. So let's say there are 900 or so applications. They will be selecting 60 or so. So there is a need for selecting the better proposals. So you have to pitch whatever is possible. So in the application, you should not leave any of these things. I will go item by item just to mention that some things are not paid much attention. So for example, in the title, people usually keep the first paragraph kind of thing. So I just put some examples. I'm sure some of you have paid attention and worked on those things, but the title is the point where you are interacting with the reviewer. So online reviewer first looks at the title and details, even for announcing the no conflict. So you must pay attention and you should be able to communicate with the reviewer. So keep it brief. I would say that 6 to 8 words will be the best one, and it should convey what is the project about. So, and this is always a challenging part, even for very good proposals. Even some of the teams who are selected, we felt that they could have done better justice. It is a challenging thing to write everything about the project, what you are addressing. At the same time, to keep the interest of the reviewer. Sometimes extremely basic things can be explained in a very simple form, not going into minute details. At the same time, wherever it is possible, please give data references. So let's say you are taking a reference from a Government of India database or WHO report, please quote it there, saying that 2021 COVID pandemic report mentions A, B, C, D. So there is a reference, and the reviewer will be very happy to see any of the numbers, because reviewers are experts in the subject. They have seen these kind of projects. They would be checking many a times when we are having one-on-one sessions, they will start introduction is okay now, they will not read. No, I think everything will be read, and these are experts who are able to judge your proposal within a very short time. So I would urge you to provide reference to every claim you are making throughout the proposal, but introduction is the first one where you will be interacting. And as Apurva mentioned, the value proposition and differentiation. So when the reviewers are considering the proposals based on the novelty and the feasibility and the market readiness and market fit, so they will be looking at the parameters. And whenever there is a possibility, I would request you to make a table. There is a pitch deck that need to be uploaded along with the application. So there you can make tables. So for example, when it is coming to the differentiator, you can use the feature benefits of your product with the existing products, head to tail comparison, including everything. So again, for looking at the market potential, they would be looking at the competitive landscape. It is actually asked very specifically in the template, and it is better to give a tabular form with all the details. Just for the sake of an example, I put few 4 or 5 parameters, but I would request you to think about, if you are going with a product into the market, who will be your competitors. Many a times people claim that this is a very unique product, there is no one in the market, which is not true. Many a times there is always a nearest product available. It may not be the same as your product, but you will be competing with somebody. So please look into your closest competition. And some of the best received proposals are the ones which have given exact details. So they went and actually called the dealer, supplier, asking for the price, delivery times. One of the proposal actually claimed that they can supply the product in XYZ time compared with the 27 days delivery, because they have spoken to the dealer for supplying. So it is coming from abroad, and it takes, after you make the payment, 27 days. So it's very important that you go into this research rather than just a superficial Google search. So only possibility is to go for the market research and get these data. And coming to the team slide, since most of us are from academic background, I want to emphasize on this one. Please don't mention that a professor, head of the department is there in my project as an advisor. Please bring the expertise he brings to the project. That is much more important than the designations. And it is important to convey what are the different skill sets your team members are coming with to execute the project. So please pay attention and give the technical expertise what they have and what they will bring to the project, rather than, of course, experience is very important, but you must provide these details. And I would also request to take a letter of consent from your team members, because some of us have not formed the companies. So as per the guidelines, individuals also can apply, but they need to form a company afterwards. And it is good to have a team, though it is not a compulsory requirement. So I would say that, please speak with your friends, take a consent letter from them, from your scientific advisors. I have few examples where, some teams have mentioned very senior people, and, the senior people on the other side of the board, and they said, I know them, but they never asked me anything. So please take a consent from them. It really helps. And when they're your advisor, take their advice. Don't take just for the sake of taking the names. So when you are filling the form, the next section will be the objectives and milestones. It's very important. After you win the grant as well, these parts are very important, because the grant is released in tranches, 3 tranches, 15 lakhs, 15 lakhs, 15 lakhs. And for the BIG partner, in this case, IKP Knowledge Park, so there will be an agreement that will be signed, and these deliverables are mentioned there. So if you complete the task A, you will be receiving the next 15 lakhs. At the time of signing the agreement, you will get 15 lakhs. So it's important you define what is your objective very clearly, quantitatively. So for example, in this example, objective 2, characterization of activity and stability of the enzyme. So that is so broad, and I can always ask questions around it. But if you mention that we will prepare 3 batches with a 10,000 unit for mg of specific activity, and we will achieve a stability of 180 days at room temperature, and we will get the validation from a third party using accelerated stability studies. It is crystal clear. Once you achieve this objective in 4 months, you come with the data and you submit, and it is crystal clear for the partner as well to release the next tranche. So objectives and milestones are very important. It should be very clear with numbers. Wherever possible, be very specific. And the next section is for the technical details. As I mentioned, this is an idea to POC grant, and it is very competitive. And whatever preliminary data available, it need not be, you have carried on for only this project. If it is an extension of your PhD work, present whatever is possible. If you have filed for an IP, mention those details, like, this much work is carried out, and I have the NOC from my institute, and this is the status. If there is a IP that is being shared with an institute, please mention, and you need to have the documentary evidence for the same. If you have publications in the similar domain, it always helps. Just mention those details as well in the preliminary work. And for every section, there is a question asked, what is the alternative? And many times it is NA. I would request you all to pay attention. And I still remember, for one reviewer coming back saying that, this team has mentioned the alternative buffers they will be using, and the pH scale, difference of 0.2 is what they will be analyzing to look for the solubility of the protein. So reviewers, read these details, and I would request you to look at possibilities, because if you are going to establish an enterprise, you need to think about all the problems that will be coming forward. Unless you mention any of those details, your weightage will be very less. And coming to the budget allocation, many a times it will be so broad. They will say that human resource 15 lakhs, capital equipment 15 lakhs, rent 4 lakhs. It doesn't work that way. So this is a grant, and they would like to see how wisely you are spending. I just took, a small screenshot from a team that has given, and it was again mentioned when they were on the borderline. So let's say they want to select 12 teams, and there is a 13th team, and the reviewer mentioned that this team has, they couldn't answer few things, but they have done the due diligence in terms of the requirement to the bolt and nut, literally. So even a 50 rupee component also they have included in the total requirement. And what is required, how many units are required, what is the specification, from where you will be buying, what is the cost, and how it is justified. This table is very important. Please don't broadly fill those. That's where you need to keep some time for yourself. This is the most important thing, and this is the highest neglected one. So we understand, we will most of the time looking 49.99 lakhs, and we should not be adjusting that way. You have to literally look at project deliverables, and sometimes you may not be able to complete whatever you are planning in 50 lakhs, which is fine. That is where your objectives and milestones come into play. You can always propose less or whatever is reasonable that can be achieved in the given time. So I would like you all to have a clear look at this particular budget allocation and fill as many details. I know everybody may not be able to fill nuts, bolts, gloves, but if you are a company, if your friends are coming together to start an enterprise, this is very important. If we don't know what we want, it will be very difficult to convince others about importance of the project. The next thing is IP strategy. So there is a very specific slide that is required to be uploaded along with the presentation, which asks for what is your IP strategy. And also you need to give the details if you have filed any IP. So I have taken an example of students from a remote location in Karnataka. So where they have seen a particular fraction of the fruit attracts the fruit flies. So they have done the experiment, and there are several people, BAZ partners, or even your advisors will be happy to frame these initial data as claims, be it a trademark, be it a patent, be it an industrial design. So there are several possibilities. Only if you share these details with teams, they will be able to help. And in this specific example, they reached out to IKP Prime. IKP Prime is the technology transfer office of IKP Knowledge Park, where they had the data to support that, in fact, that fraction isolate, the second fraction, can attract these insects. And that can be presented in this form. And the team actually in 3 months time made a prototype using a dustbin and small holes, and they were able to demonstrate in the field. And over the 1 year, they filed actually for this IP, and they have stood as the 5 best innovations from India to reach Brazil. And the Brazil government actually introduced it to the farmers and local agriculture community there. So once you work on these deliverables, even the committee feels very clear. Many a times IP is a little challenging because we are starting very early on. But if we don't know what will be our IP, it will be very difficult to move next. So please reach out to the teams, and there is a email ID given, teambiz@ikpknowledgepark.com. Apurva will be very happy to connect with our IKP Prime team, which is led by Dr. Bandana, Dr. Hema, Manish, Vital, Harshada. So you have to just ask, and our team will be very happy to help with this particular slide from the IKP Prime. But you can also ask for the prior art sets and other support as well in terms of intellectual property. So the reason for spending extra time on this slide is many a times it is given as NA. And also there is another question that is being asked, what is the FTO status? What is the competing IP? And most of them fill as NA. I would urge you to speak with IKP Prime kind of teams who can work on these things. They have access to special databases. It is not a negative thing to let the committee know that these are the IPs already available. They understand that IP can be created by working additionally. So the novelty factor highlighting, because this is an innovation grant, not just BAZ. Any innovation grant gives huge weightage to the IP. And as I mentioned, if it is not very novel, incremental innovations are also supported, provided they there is a competitor sheet we have seen where the details regarding whether it is an import substitution, whether it is a cost advantage. So there is a possibility to score there. But if you don't fill any details in your IP and in the competitor's IP or the nearest possible things, this will be working against you. So please pay attention and reach out to the teams. And I will request Apurva to share email ID of the IKP Prime team. We'll be happy to work on these things further. Some of these things need time. We may not be able to do instantly. So please, approach. We have sufficient time now. So it can be worked out, and even the quick prior art search really helps knowing what is our competition from which area they are there any from India? So this will help you position yourself. When you are presenting, it may not be you will be able to reposition yourself if somebody is working on that particular domain or they have already a particular patent filed. So please don't ignore that thing. And these are very broadly. So we have received more than 1,600 applications and 165 teams have been selected. So which means that there are 1,400 teams or so that are not selected. And some of the very good teams are also not selected. As I mentioned, every year there are only 100 projects are supported. So even if you are good and if you are standing at one position, there is no difference between the 99th and 99th one and 100th one, but still they will not be supported. So if you are not selected, I would request you to go through these points and reach out to the BIZ partner, reach out to your advisor. And the first point I wrote is like, poorly written, team members did not read. This is actually a feedback received because when they came to the interview, one of the team member don't know what was there in the proposal. And they were thinking that they will work on the proposal after it is granted. It never works that way. And if you have an advisor, if you have a team member, I would say that you have to share your email ID for the portal access or prepare the application in the Word format and share it with your team members. Take their feedback because they have a specific expertise which you don't have. That is the whole reason of you people coming together as a team. So this is one point I would request you all. It really helps you. And always, 2 is better than 1. So take your friends' help. And all other points are very standard points. And I am sure you will have a close look at these things. And all these are covered in the previous slides. The reason for putting this is just for your reference. And we'll be sharing the PDF copy of this presentation with all of you for reference. And I just wanted to share a few examples. So, how the teams have evolved. So many of you have seen the DOSI and some of the new members. I would like to just explain a few details about this project. So this is nearly a 5-year-old team. DOSI, it is from the Turtle Shell company. So they were incubated at IKP Eden. They are from the medical device backgrounds. So the BIZ proposal, what they came up is contactless sleep monitoring. So the belt you are seeing is put under the mattress and it can detect the respiratory and the stress levels. And they have an accuracy reached around 97 plus, which is compared with the clinically and NIMHANS validated. In the sense like they have conducted the studies in the sleep lab to compare what the specific non-contact belt is receiving versus a contact electrodes. And on the left side, what you can see is the impact they have created. I will not go into details, but during COVID time, they were able to pivot themselves and include the required things like SpO2 monitoring, temperature. I just want to mention one example, like this team was able to help Ozone Hospital in Hyderabad to set up a temporary COVID ward with 100 beds within a day at a fraction of the budget. So I will request you to Google and we'll be happy to introduce these teams if anybody is interested in working in these particular things. And the advantage the BIZ partners bring to you is the existing awardees and other innovators present along working with them. So if you think there is a team that received the BIZ, please ask the BIZ partner to introduce. They will be happy to introduce to those things. The peer learning, what you receive from them will be much more impactful than the sessions what you will be having. Of course, we will do our best to have, but they have been through the journey, and that is the whole reason today we have Dr. Vaibhav with us. And please feel free to reach to us, and I will request Apurva to share the link, the bit.ly link with the BIZ partner IKP, where all the resources for making the application and looking at the application, what is required even before you fill the online portal. And some of you have complained that certain fields are not being accepted. So I would request you to fill the application offline, share it with your friends, do one proofreading, and then start pasting in there. Thank you very much. With this, I would like to invite, we will take the Q&A in the last, and I will request Madhu sir to share the perspective from the reviewer. Right. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, all the listeners. And must congratulate you for taking the first step towards the application for big. Yeah, I think a lot of details have been given by Viswanath for the application process and the kind of general terms of reference and reviewing process and what should be there and what kind of clarity one should put it in the application and so on and so forth. So I think that's a very, very important, last 30 minutes of instructions that you should remember to follow. And I'm sure the PPT would be very helpful just to remind you what should be done and what should not be done. I've been a member at various capacities in BIG for last several years. And now we know why. To just tell you in one sentence, most of the applications are self-eliminating actually. They quite often, I'm quite surprised that people don't pay attention to some of the basic instructions and apply. And if you ask me really, even though Visu was talking about for each round of big, something like 700 to 800 applications come and finally some 50 to 60 are given. But don't look at that number. It's like almost like, IIT exams, some 10 lakh people write and some 10,000 people get through. The more important thing is out of those, how many of those 10 lakh people are serious about IIT? They do it because they want to do it. I mean, the friends have done it, neighbors have done it. In the same way, if you really look at it, out of that 700-800 applications, probably there are only some 300 applications that are, complete in all the aspects. If you were to pay attention to the instructions given by Visu or in the website, you would be in those 300. So out of 300, we give the final count is around 50 to 60. That means almost, that's a great number. If you write well and if you take care of all the instructions properly and be very plain and clear about your various aspects like your business plans and things like that, things are going to be very good. So it's always the clarity of presentation is what makes it go to the next level. So when we look at these, review these applications that come to us, we really go in a serious way to look at the competitors market, what is the differentiating factor in this particular application, and what kind of path they have decided, how are they covering themselves in terms of the team. What happens is quite often, more than 90% of the time, the principal investigator or the applicant of a big application is the fellow who came up with the idea. So that means he comes from a strongly academic background. And that is the first step anyway. But then comes the need to look at the other aspects, like, how robust is it? How differentiating is it? What is the need? What is the volume of the need? And, what are the other competitors in the market? How do I go into the market? What is the IP protection? These are all already Visu was mentioning, but what happens is it's not necessary that you should acquire all those, all that knowledge. For that purpose is what we have these 8 centers of for big partners who have specifically supported to help you in this particular game. That is, you go to them with all your queries, they'll help you to do that. That is very, very important. I've seen many applications where the seriousness fades from the beginning to the end. When they come to the end, they're very casual about their, the seriousness is missing in terms of what Visu was mentioning about the objectives. First objective, I tell you, most of the applicants say that we will recruit, we will buy things. This is not objectives. These are all kind of, They are the things that you would are supposed to do it. But the objectives, as far as the scheme is concerned, a specific technical objectives, not some administrative objectives. So those are they kind of give an impression for the reviewer that, does this person understand the seriousness and understand the query that was asked in the application. So that is one part. So one has to pay attention to the entire application, in a very balanced way. The reason for it, I'm saying, is I personally will look at all the things, how carefully they have thought of in putting objectives, are the equipment, are the budgets, how they distributed, are they just looking at things like, 15 lakhs, 15 lakhs, 15 lakhs kind of a thing, irrespective of the nature of the thing. And not, sometimes people come up with 25 lakhs per manpower. I mean, it looks, why are you doing it when you are not allowed to do it? Unless you have a very detailed explanation, they don't do it. So these are all the things is that one has to pay attention to. The most important thing in any application is of course, novelty comes a very important thing, and the need. Need is something, I cannot just simply say the need of diabetes in my, if my application is in diabetic context, I cannot say the entire diabetic market value as the market value for me. Okay, you will have to be very clear in that. So they'll say there is the market value of this is $25 billion, it will go to $30 billion and stuff like that. They look attractive numbers that are very half-baked numbers. People have to be a bit more specific, because they're not going to address the entire diabetic medical cost of the world. They'll be probably looking at a partial one. So these are all the kind of, I'm giving you examples where you have to be insightful in each of your statement, right? Because you think by putting big numbers, you're going to make it more important. But the expert committees are they spend so much time in these particular areas, they can know how true is the statement that's written here. So you will have to spend a lot of time in looking at what is that I'm going to contribute, and what is the actual market value, and how do I get this market value properly. So these are the kind of contexts you can take the help of these BIG partners to valorize the idea, valorize the market. So what is the value of today's market for so and so? They would probably help you in a ballpark figure so that you can go ahead and use it. So the need, the gap, the novelty are two important things. And the other important thing is that comes through whether you, whichever way you write or present, is the passion. Remember, big is a entrepreneurial project. That means they expect people who are grantees to make a company eventually. It is not a research project. It is a product or a process kind of a project where you have to come up with. So if you please remember this very carefully, because they look for marketability of a product and the entrepreneurial blood group of the presenter and the team. Whichever way, we have so much of experience, we can probably guess whether how serious is it. Is he looking at as a next 18-month employment, or is he looking for as his own career? Okay, these are, they'll come through. So that you will, unless you are clear in your mind that you would be an entrepreneur, and big happens to be a way to go towards that, is what you should have in mind. Otherwise, it's not going to, you're not going to do a good service to yourself or the program. So remember that. So I can tell you again, the big is one of the sweetest, projects that is around. In the sense, there may be much bigger, granting agencies and things like that, but 50 lakhs is a great money for conducting a early stage idea to a proof of concept level, what we call as TRL 2 to TRL 4 or 5 kind of a thing. And the best thing about big is the choosing of these partners, big partners. They will play a very important role in your preparation of the proposal. Once you are selected, I think the help will be much bigger, much more involved and organic. But even before applying, they will do so much of due diligence for your proposal and give you training. It's only how much you ask, they are ready to give. So take that help seriously if you are serious about being an awardee of big. So you should take this big partner's help in all aspects for which you think you are not very confident. Like all of us are not confident on business plan, for example. What is the business plan? If I say one-liner on B2B or B2C, are I licensed it? Is it sufficient or should I be in more detail? Right? On IPR issues, you should be very clear. And you should be very fair in your obtaining NOCs, because any idea must have come from some academic place, right? So how cleanly you have taken care of that. All this comes through in your application and in your presentation, which we won't miss it. So be very good, very clear and very forthright about the facts and the data and the position and the ownership, all that. So actually, it's a great, a teaching and training kind of a platform. Also, in addition to it being a kind of a grant in aid place, it's a grant in aid. You are given, they trust you and give you 50 lakhs for next 18 months, which is a big money. And they expect you to do good and contribute to the country to solve its own problems, which have come from internally rather than that is coming from outside. There is a big national view of this particular program, and it has been extremely successful. I think this is the 16th call. That means for the last 9 years, it's been going on and it is going very steadily. So, and it's an excellent team, right from Delhi to here and various partners. So, I'll encourage each one of you to apply. And actually, you should make such a show that, from next time onwards, big should increase its number, because they should feel small for not being supporting all the proposals that are coming through. Okay. So it is my request to all of you, if you are very clear in your mind that you wanted to go in an entrepreneurial way and use your training in life sciences and create a product or a process that will have a social impact and a national impact or economic impact, that's very important. And pay attention to all the details. Take help. Help is always a phone call or email away. Don't hesitate and put it through, and I'm sure you will get through. So, many of the frequently asked questions in the website answer most of the questions. But in addition, when you apply, you will have a lot of other queries that I think Visu or his team or any other partnership teams will be able to answer, right? So you can also reach us. I'm Madhusudan Rao. I'm CEO of Atal Incubation Center associated with CCMB, right? So we have quite a few BIG applicants in our place, came and went. And I have a very personal interaction and, with the BIG scheme itself. It's a great thing, and definitely do a good job if you are serious about it. And you can reach us also. You can look us up in the website AICCCMB. And you have all the contact details if you want to help us. Besides what IKP does, we'll be there to help you also. All the best. Take care. Thank you, Visu.
Thank you very much.
Sorry,
sir.
the video is not working. I don't know what happened. I should have checked. But I'll still try and come back to show my face. Thank
you very much, sir. And thank you for sharing the perspective from the reviewer. And just to recap some of the points, what Madhu sir is saying is, please pay attention to every detail you are feeling, because they are reading alternative options, alternative plans, what will be delivered. Many a times, all the focus being from the science background, we give entire emphasis to the technical details, and we feel that the technical details will speak for everything. But there is a valuation, they will look at other parameters. So please pay attention. And with this, I would like to request Dr. Vaibhav Bhatia, maybe, share his experience, including how he didn't get the BAZ first time. Actually, he came from Spain to look at possibilities of working in India with this company. And yeah, I would like to request him to share both the plus and minus points, and what he felt some problems and how he overcame, and finally how he got. And thanks to VIT for providing an excellent lab, and looking forward to Vaibhav.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Vishu. And thank you, Madhu sir. We could not see you, but your voice itself is like, it's done. You have communicated everything, both of you. So, but we would
Thank
love
you.
to see you. Yes. So,
I'll come back.
yes. So, as Vishu said, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share my perspective, and with an objective that everybody who's listening today tries to get, you can say, the mindset, you know, which would be useful for them before they enter, because this is the first step, it's a baby step that you make. So what is the mindset which we should go for a grant like this? And the first line, if you open the BIREC portal and you open the RFP document for BIG, you will see this very importantly, it is named BIG, okay, BIG. So first thing it tells you is it's an idea to POC grant, and it is named big. So the mindset here they are expecting is that you need to think big, not for the big grant, but you have to have a big vision. So the vision is very important, and they are actually expecting you to have a vision to POC thing, where your vision is captured into your smallest detail, up to the smallest details, how you're going to take every component of your point, whatever you can do, at least at the planning stage. Okay, because uh, let us, I give you an analogy. Imagine you have a car, okay, and you want to go from Delhi to from your house to, say, Delhi to Mumbai. Big is going to provide you enough fuel so that you can go to the next petrol pump and fill your fuel. Big is not going to give you money to go to Mumbai, of course. It's very little money most of the time. And it's not going to give you money if you are only going to roam around in Delhi and come back to your house. Okay. So, as I think both the speakers before mentioned, that your objective has to be entrepreneurial. How are you going to be identifying an opportunity which for which you're going to develop a solution which is better than the status quo? Okay, this is your idea, right? This is your idea. There is some problem and you have identified an opportunity to solve it. So this is what entrepreneur has to do here, and people have talked about it. And what I'm going to do here is my journey, what exactly happened to me, and what mistakes I made, so you don't have to make them. So the first thing is uh, identify one component, one word, and look at everything through that word. That's the lens. I can tell you, the lens is called risk. Okay, and you may at this stage, at the starting stage, may not have got money to do experiments. You may not have enough good team members to support you on the other areas. For example, you are a scientist, you have got very good technical know-how, but you don't have business understanding. On the other hand, you may be somebody with a little bit of business experience, but you don't understand the technology so well. So you have to create a team. But one thing you have to strive for is reduce the risk, because not only the people in big, but anybody in future, even your own family, if they're going to put money for you, they are going to look at how you are reducing the risk for them. Whatever you are trying to do has a risk, and how they, how you are doing it, how you are reducing it. And to reduce the risk, I think Vishu and Madhu sir have both shared a lot of comments there. You need to go to the market, try to see how much it is going to cost to the smallest of details. But one thing people don't do, and I can say I was also a culprit of when I started my first venture, is you don't know how to measure the risk. Okay, you need to measure the risk at a very early stage. And how do you do that? How do you measure what is the risk here? is by combining both the business and the technical side together, and then looking at in your vision each of them. What are your technical risks? Why this would fail? Okay, what kind of problems could happen, and what exactly you can do technically to pivot. Imagine you did something, you are trying to make a vaccine, okay, and it will not work. What is exactly you are still going to get out of it? Okay, so the same thing about the car. Imagine you went to the petrol pump and the petrol pump was closed. Is there any petrol pump around there? Okay, or you are only dependent on a petrol pump. Your strategy is to go to this petrol pump. Imagine petrol is very less and there is no other petrol pump in vicinity. You will be dead there. So you are increasing the risk for your car, for your plan. This is what you should do. You should try to reduce the risk by measuring it. Okay, how you are going to manage in the little money, what exactly you plan to do. That's one thing. And then once you measure it, you stick to that. Okay? Like I can tell you, there are a lot of efforts, and these are self-eliminatory, as Madhu has said. These are all the efforts are only about reducing technical risk. Okay, you don't reduce only technical risk, but you also reduce the commercialization risk. So you ask this question, okay, imagine I succeed, imagine I am able to make this wonderful solution. Okay, what is the business side risk for that? And for that you need to go out and ask people, would they buy, would they be interested in something if it works, and all, and many other questions that you can figure it out, whether it is valuable to them, whether you figure out other people who can easily imitate that. So do you have a patent strategy to stop them imitating this thing, whether the opportunity is good enough uh, for you to spend say 3 years of your life or 5 years of your life. It has to be that beneficial. So all those things you have to calculate and make sure that you reduce that business risk by measuring all those factors. And it has to come in your subconscious mind. And with this big approach, when you go and present uh, you know, your proposal to the people, they at least will understand that you may not be the perfect person today, but the big grant will be given to you, and you are gonna spend that fuel in the right direction. So that is one thing I would like to say here. Now, what happened with us? We started with the development of thermostable proteins. And I was in Spain, as Rishu mentioned, and we went to different people around there, and we realized we did not get enough, what do you say, demand for our thermostable protein. And then I came to India, and I realized that Europe does not have a problem of cold chain, which India has, many developing nations have. So we got a very good response here, and suddenly we realized the market is here. Okay, so you have to identify your market. Unless and until you know who is going to buy your product, you should not even start making it. You may develop some idea, you may do some basic research, which is generally done at an academic level. So this is one thing. I think this is said in big, but my practical experience is this grant is not from TRL 1 to TRL 3. This grant, you can say, is from TRL 2 to TRL 3. Okay, because idea stages, generally people go and try to figure out at an academic stage with some researchers or something. You can always do something. In just searching on Google is not enough today. You can always figure out a way to create something so that you can show. You have to have some preliminary data there. Okay, and that you can only create once you know which is the direction, who is going to buy that, who is going to be taking a look at that, who will be used for this data, will be useful for whom. Okay, and then you can improve it later, but you have to do something. And this is the part where you work mainly. Try to create some preliminary data. Don't go with the fact that okay, a good idea is enough. Okay, work with somebody, try to get the preliminary data, and that will only be done once you know the market. So the market is there, some preliminary data is there, and you go and you say, I could do everything possible in my hands at this stage, and that's why I'm coming in. And this is what happened with us. Once we were in India, we were very confident that we are going to be spending our time. We were three co-founders, and we were spending our time in something which would be sold later. So then we go to big or other people to ask for money, because we will be selling it to somebody. Unless and until I was in, say, Spain, I could not find enough buyers there, because cold chain was not a problem. So that motivation will be very visible in your technical report also, because they know where you will be going in future. Okay. And last And the most important thing happens when you go and talk to the people. For example, you are lucky if you are invited for the interview. There will be a lot of questions. Okay, many of these questions you will say, oh, why are they asking this question, that question? But the better way to look at it is whether you get big money or not. They are training you to meet more stringent people. If you go tomorrow to investors or somebody, all these questions would be asked because they are same people around you, right? They are coming through big grantee, the big program, and they are trying to be lenient to you. If they see you on the road in an investor firm, they will be even more harsh. That's what I can say. So they are preparing you. So again, I would say don't plan for big grant, plan big. They applying for this program itself is going to help you develop your commercial skill, commercialization potential, and everything. And this will happen. But when the questions come to you, and this is what happened to us, we came in with thermostable insulin. We found a buyer, but we were not able to convince big, though we were able to convince our customer that it's a good thing, but we were not able to convince big, review committee that it's a good enough proposal. And they were telling us, no, this is not just a protein. You should be working as a platform. And we were said, okay. And then we started looking at other markets. And in fact, it helped me. My potential market, and this is an important point. Don't look at your total market. Insulin has 48 billion market. No, all those things is just there. It's good to know, but it's not important. Your market is how much you can commercialize. So my market grew from 20 million to close to 4 billion today, only because of this diversification I did. And this happened because repeatedly, twice, Big rejected my application. They say, no, work it as a platform. And it helped us a lot. More than 50 lakhs, all the advices that we got from the people during those programs and mentoring that we got was very, very helpful. So I don't want to take a lot of time here, but one thing I would say is, and somebody asked me, what should be a team? And a lot of people ask about that. And I always say, whatever is the team, make sure it's complementing each other. And there has to be at least one person who is 100% dedicated. If you are a faculty or somebody, try to find somebody who is today or tomorrow going to be 100% dedicated. Because this shows, as Madhu sir says, this shows that you are planning to create a company. You're not just doing a research project. So having somebody in the team who is 100% dedicated to creating an entrepreneurial opportunity, not even if not everybody, at least one person, that's the great, I would say, a key to enter, to get it successful through big. I leave here. Any questions, please ask. Reach out to me anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, Vaibhav. And thank you, sir. Madhu sir is back with the video. Sir, your audio is not on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's a simple mistake. Thank you. Thank you again, all the listeners.
Any questions from the participants? We have another 10 minutes. You can please unmute yourself and ask if Abhishek, I will be answering this one. Can I apply as an individual if I am co-partner in a nanotech-based LLP as my... Abhishek, please go ahead.
Yeah, sir, should I speak?
Please.
Yeah, so actually, we have a LLP in which actually we haven't started the operations yet. It's just a patent that we have been granted, and the idea is to convert whatever municipal waste is there, that is that municipal waste into activated carbon using nanocatalyst. But actually, I wanted to apply for a big grant for a different project that is quite different from what currently is being done in the LLP. So can I apply as an individual? Because I went through the guidelines in big, and it is written that if you are co-partner in LLP, then you have to apply through that LLP only. You cannot apply as an individual. But my idea is quite different because whatever is being done in the LLP is quite different from what I have right now. So that I want to just...
Okay. If you have a company and LLP that is working in completely different domain, yes, you can apply as an individual, but again, you will have to form an LLP for the other project.
Okay.
So if you have a company in the biotech space matching with the BIG objectives, then no. So if you have an ineligible company, then you cannot apply. But if you have an LLP that is outside the
So can I just elaborate upon it? What is my idea and what is being done in LP so that I can get
Abhishek, I will be happy to arrange a separate session on this. But as I mentioned, that you can apply.
Okay.
So if the company is not in the biotech space, certainly you can apply as an individual. If it is in this domain, then you cannot apply. And I am just sharing the email ID, and I can arrange a session with our IKP Prime team as well to discuss further how to take this forward.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Abhishek. And just for everyone else, so if there is a company, you have another company or a shareholding of more than 20% in an ineligible company, that means a biotech company which is more than 5 years old, then you are ineligible. But if you have another company that is less than 5 years, there is no problem. So even if you have two companies, that is perfectly okay.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir. Can I speak?
Yeah, please.
Thank you for fantastic information from Dr. Vishu and Rao sir and Vaibhav sir. Sir, I want to ask that what are the possibilities if there is any contingency or something, like if we don't have publication or some of the less data compared to other companies or other participants or applications. So what are the criteria, like how much publication plays a role in selection or something like that?
So publication will add to the team strength. So there is no special separate weightage for publication. When they are looking at the team profile, if one of your team member has good publications in a particular domain, and that is also part of the project, you will get the weightage like that. There is no separate weightage for the publication as such. And Madhu sir, maybe you can share what
Yeah,
you
I mean, publication is not really the issue, because the idea is what matters most. And usually what happens is, if you publish, you can't patent. If you're working on a new idea, it is better to patent only, and that means usually not published. So that's how it works. So, and I can tell you, bottom line is publications are not an essential thing for evaluation. And if there are publications, that means there is some credibility in the team. That's it. And more importantly, the idea and how you wanted to translate into a technology or a product, that is more critical. And that's what we look at, because most of the things most of the ideas that come to us are published or unpublished. That is not a critical thing, but what is more important is the way you want to take it forward and the utility of that in a general context and its market value. That's more important, right?
Yes, sir, definitely. Thanks a lot, sir.
Nidya. Okay, Nidya is asking whether she should mention only about Indian market or the global market. So I would say, depending on how you are presenting, how you are positioning your product, but Indian market is a must. So global market, if you are positioning, let's say, one of the BIG awardee from the last time, it's called Biotechnology Therapeutics. So they have made an exonuclease for the entire world, like the Bicus exonuclease, much more efficient than the Merck one. So there they were talking about the global, but I would say Indian market, you must give the details if there is a competition, and in some cases sharing the global competition profile helps reviewers understand the importance.
May I
Hope
add to that what Vishu you said? See, this is one important thing, and this is what I've learned through the journey. Is when you say market, and especially global market, okay, there is a total market for everything, okay, and it's good to mention that. So if you are making a pesticide or a biopesticide, you can replace all the pesticide in the world tomorrow, and get 100 billion worth of revenue every year, that's one thing. You can't make a deep tech which is only focused for a country. Most of the deep techs are accessible for many other nations, if not every nation. But what you have to mention here is definitely what is your directly accessible market means, where you have already proved the commercial, viability of your product. Like you have created a biopesticide and you have talked to Indian customers, possible farmers. So you definitely mentioned this, at least this much viability I have checked. So this is my target market first. If you have even been able to say, talk to somebody in America, you can say this is again viable market. But if you have not been able to, this is going to be difficult for you to claim, right? So if you know the facts and figures, how you are talking about it, talk about your accessible market. That's very, very important. The Indian market becomes important because if you are here early stage, you can easily talk about that.
Actually, I'm a medical doctor myself. So self-taught AI/ML. I've been doing it for the last 2 years. So my product is based on AI/ML technology, but I don't have someone else to come along with me as an engineer because I have the expertise myself. So can I apply as an individual?
So applying an individual versus company on two things. So if you have a company, you cannot apply as an individual. If you do not have a company.
No, I'm an individual. I'm saying I'll apply as an individual, but I don't have anyone as my team members. I'm the sole member of my team because the entire technology has been developed by me. And because I'm a clinician, so that also satisfies the criteria of having a clinician on the team. So yes, so the chances are good if I apply as an individual, just me, or do I
would request Madhu sir to answer this one.
Yeah, you can apply. The bottom line is you can apply. But the second important thing is you should build up a team, because everything, I mean, you may be good at what you're doing, but that's only not what we look at when you look at an application. So we look at somebody to tell us what is the value of that particular addition that you have done to your this thing, and how do you want to take it forward. What are various things, business plans, marketing plans, all that need to be added on. So since you are already have some confidence on your innovation, you might as well talk to others, because I can tell you this, many times people are very excited about what they do and they're very passionate, but at the same time the passion has to be validated, and that somebody else also should say that it is good. So getting excited about your own innovation is very important for the starting step, but somebody should also vet it and advise you on its magnitude or its gap filling ability, or if everything passes, then how do you go about marketing, what kind of technical help you need, what kind of mentorship you need, all that. So, but what you are saying is, yes, you can apply. That's a great starting point, but you have to build a team of others just to make sure that you are on the right path and kind of stuff. So that's very important.
Can I ask a follow-up question, please?
Yeah.
So I have talked to the different anesthesiologists in the field. I have a survey report which says that they have confidence in my invention. So can I will have a team of scientific advisors as well and doctors as well. But engineer, I am not able to find because I don't come from that community. I am a doctor by education, and I have self-taught myself AI/ML and developed this entire technology by myself. So will that be penalized in the process by seeing that I
never. I think what you're doing is a great job. I'm a doctor learning in a completely different domain of this thing like AI/ML or computer sciences. It's a great thing, and that is definitely a great starting point. But you need to make sure that like I can tell you this, in last round, we've got at least some 30% of the applications with applying AI/ML. And when we ask these people the kind of, I'm not an expert, but I'm talking on behalf of the committee. When the committee asks the kind of models that they're using, and most of them fall short. I mean, they are not appropriate models for that particular application. The data size or the training set is not sufficient, or the wrong set is chosen. There is no prospective studies. there are several models, AI, ML models that one can adopt. They chose the not the appropriate one. So to make sure that you are on the right path, you definitely should talk to, if you are in Hyderabad, I think you should talk to somebody in Triple IT or something, or any of these engineering institutes like IITs and BITS Pilani, if you are close to whichever what, and then talk to them and see, what are the gaps. Talk to AML guys, because you're a doctor, so you know your part very well. The other part you can get it vetted by the people who are experts, like Triple ITs does a lot of work, and you can take help from others. And IKP can help you in getting contacts on that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your response.
Dr. Swati, please go ahead.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Visu, for the opportunity. Well, actually, I can very well relate with what Abhishek just said, because I myself am a clinician. I'm a physiotherapist, and I have started my startup for bringing deep tech into physiotherapy. I also went through the same struggle of finding relevant technical people to work with in the startup. Fortunately, I found someone. My question was, right now we've been able to get to the level where we are somewhere at TRL2. So what exactly at TRL2 or TRL3 is expected from a big applicant startup?
Somebody's going?
Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I mean, TRL2 is a kind of the state where you, beyond developing an idea, you must have padded it with some kind of an evidence, whether circumstantial or in your own practice. I mean, now you feel more confident about about your idea, because idea is idea, but there are plenty of ideas. But at the same time, if you add some kind of an evidence base to it, then it goes to TRL2. That's what we call as a preliminary data. But at the same time, you are also saying that when I tell you today, technology is interdisciplinary, and it's not very smart to think that we can put it along singly. So, and at the same time, the kind of things that get into people's mind is, if I talk to somebody, do I have to share it? Do I have to share my, whatever I'm going to gain out of it? These are the kind of things that play in your mind, but it is important to talk to people. Most of the time, 90% or 99% of the time, the advices that people give is very, very voluntary. That is important for you. You don't have to really pay for it, or get into any serious engagement. In these kind of places, people like IKP can help you a lot to give you contacts. I tell you, it is all to do with the mentorship and networking. So you have to talk to many people. Just make sure that others listen to your idea. Only thing I can advise you in all these things is, sometimes you may feel bit delicate to tell entirely about your innovation. Please don't tell the critical parts. You can always politely excuse yourself from giving the critical parts. Like, for example, I have a chemical that has a very good pharmacological value, but at the same time, I want to know what is the how can I go about doing the next level of investigation? Should I be doing it in cell lines? Should I be doing it in this or that? For that kind of an advice, you don't have to tell them about the nature of your molecule, but you still know what is it that you want. You take help and where to get it. So keep the critical information, which is what made you think that it is an innovation and things like that. Keep it to yourself. It could be a software, it could be a chemical, it could be some trick. So keep that, but still without revealing that, you can get very detailed help from people, because they'll only helping you to go to the next stage. Not that going to the next stage is not dependent upon what kind of molecule you have, but they'll tell you what are all the data you need to build up, and then what kind of data you have to show to go to preclinical trials, or these kind of things. So you have to talk to people. Even for the previous person, that's what the advice. Don't tell what is critical in your innovation, but keep talking to people about what next, and take advice. If you can't get people on your own, talk to IKP or us. Or there are so many in Hyderabad, especially in healthcare and biology space, like Bionest, University of Hyderabad, or BITS Pilani Hyderabad, IIT Hyderabad, and we are there. So many people, IICT is there. So you can reach any of them and get help. So you don't have to go physically. You can call them and set up a meeting, and then just get the problem solved.
Thank you, Rahul sir. That was very insightful. I just had a small follow-up question. So, like I have with the first prototype, very basic, something that I could be ashamed of and still show to people. I took it to clinicians and patients and other stakeholders. The thing that we are working within right now is building the accuracy of its next version. So, with that respect, I wanted to understand, like by the time we plan for the first objective or the second objective, what level of, accuracy or development would IKP expect, would Big Grant expect from us?
See, it's a very simple thing. Like, you are, whatever you are doing, or anybody who has done in last 20 calls of big, they're not doing something completely out of the box. Okay. So there must have been similar products in the market. Similar, I'm not saying identical, or for the similar application or something. So it's easy to compare your thing with them. Like, that's why one of the important slide in the big application is the competitor analysis or landscape. So you identify what is that this company is offering. Like, for example, to come up with a very appropriate example that came up in big was somebody wanted to develop a CRP kind of a device, mechanical device, rather than a manual device, because people can be, they apply different variable pressures and actually damage the patient. So there was a device that was developed to look at the body size and the strength and things like that, that automatically feeds in. And then, because in the end, it is nothing but applying pressure on the chest in a very rhythmic fashion. So can we do that? So, but I'm sure when you go about and doing it, there are a number of, probably there are some products out there. So you will have to, compare it with it in terms of the critical parameters. And the reproducibility, robustness, all these things come in play. So it's easy. If you have a device, there's always something very close to it. If not identical, you can always compare. And then say, mine is better in these contexts, either in terms of sensitivity or in terms of stability or reproducibility or whatever that comes up. So this is how one would do the comparison with the competitors.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Visu.
Dr. Swati, since you are from physiotherapy space, the Startun Lab, the Physi and Ashwa Tech, both are from IKP and they are from Hyderabad registered companies. I will be happy to make an introduction as well, because they are much better. They raised follow-on round of both of them around 4 crores, and they will be very happy to share. Actually, they have trained 6-7 teams because the physiotherapy space is completely new in terms of let's say looking at the efficiency of the physiotherapist treatment. To quantify these things, they never existed. So for all the other clinical things, we have glucose test and any other blood test. But in physiotherapy, that is a so wide open space, and they're doing quite well, and we'll be happy to introduce. And I have actually shared a LinkedIn post, all the physiotherapy companies, from our portfolio. I will be very happy to introduce to any of those teams based on your comfort. So if you think they are your competitor, I will not introduce. But if you think they will be your complementer, I will be going ahead and introducing.
Sure, sir. Thank you. In fact, sure, sir. I'll connect with you separately. In fact, I had a chance to listen to, I think, Mr. Sulsula from Physi as well, and it was quite an inspiring story of his.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Great. So you already know about part of the competition, which is very good.
we have to. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Welcome, ma'am. And any more last questions? Yeah, Vaibhav, please.
Vishu, I wanted to say something Dr. Madhu just mentioned, and there is this one trouble I've seen, which I also had. When you have an invention and you want to go and tell it to people, and you don't want to reveal a confidential part of that. So something I have learned, and maybe it would be useful for others, I just want to mention, there is always a component of what and how. So as Madhu sir said, if you want to reveal somebody, tell about your innovation, and you don't want to reveal a lot of confidential information, you ask what are you doing, but you don't tell how are you making that product. That is going to be the patents are done based on how you made that invention. All the patents will take that, but what you are doing you should be able to tell in a language, and that will be generally non-confidential. So imagine I am saying today I am making thermostable proteins. I have made a thermostable insulin, which will have an impact like this, okay, which will be used like this. It could be injected, intravenously or subcutaneously, or it could be oral. So I can say all those things. But how I am making that possible, if I'm not stating that, that part is confidential, okay? So but see, by telling what you are doing in detail, you are able to convince the other person that at least he can guess the commercial viability and possibilities, technical possibilities, because most of the people who are listening to you, they already know the field. So they know that where you are talking about. So if you focus on what and not go in details about how, you will be able to figure out a good sentence in explaining your invention, without revealing a lot.
Thank you, Vaibhav and Madhu sir. I think that's very important. Everywhere you don't have to tell everything. So you can choose what you want to disclose. And most importantly, since you are already talking with our technology transfer office, so you are already on the right track. And we will catch up over the email which you are interacting with Vittal, Dr. Vittal.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any last questions from anyone?
Sir, just one question I had. So my invention has already is quite accurate, and we have tested on a lot of things, and cadaver testing has also been done. So it works on cadavers. Now for human beings, we have to make certain iterations. So am I at the right TRL level for big, or have I crossed that? Because it's already working on cadavers.
So if you are already working, and if there are already customers who are willing to pay, you don't need BIZ. You can directly start collecting the revenues. But if you think your customers
So
are
it is
asking
working
for further
on cadavers,
validation,
dead bodies. Dead bodies it is working on, but not on human beings. So because
okay,
for that we have to make certain changes to the prototype that we
got
have.
it. No, Abhishek, I'm just telling in a very simple language. So what I'm saying is, if the customer is asking for a validation, that means it is not complete. You are thinking it is accurate. You don't have a third-party validation. You don't have several other certifications that will be required. So certainly it is much below the TRL 3.
Okay.
And good that it is working on the cadavers. So maybe we will talk in little more detail.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
And many times we think that everything is fine because we have seen the product and we love it. But not everybody will be looking with the same thing. So we will need several third-party validations.
Okay.
Certified labs, saying the same thing as what you are saying. They should also say the same. This is super accurate.
Sure, sir. Sure. So we'll
talk to as many people as possible. It is important to get knocked around in the preliminary rounds rather than getting surprised when it comes to final presentation. Talk to people. As I said, you will be surprised. People come up with opinions that are so radically different and quite upsetting, but that's what is very important. Don't ever hesitate to listen a bad comment on your innovation. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And just to add, on the Madhu sir point, let's say that from your claim, the first thing the BIZ committee will ask is where is the ethical committee approval for conducting these studies and cadavers, and where and how, which body approved. So they want to see all this. Without any of this documentation, it is as good as not done.
Okay.
I don't know whether you have taken or not, but we can start from there actually.
Okay. So we have images, but no official confirmation from the institute yet.
So you already know where it is, and
yes,
we'll be happy to help.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. I'll connect with you offline, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Maybe
I
I
think
can add one point here, and it was one of my biggest mistakes, and I just wanted everybody here, whether you are one person, you have done prior art, you know which TRL you are, whatever, make sure you submit your application at least 2 days in advance. Don't wait for the last day. My first application did not went through because I was thinking about 5 o'clock in the evening. I was sitting in Madrid and I was trying to submit it, and I had some miscalculation in the time, and the server did not work on the last day or whatever. It happens. So doesn't matter whatever questions you have today, whether they were solved or not solved, or when you're writing, you will get those. Make sure you submit it 2 days in advance. Okay, that really helps.
And there is one more question from Dr. Pratyusha. Pratyusha, it's not required to be incubated, at the time of application. Only after you win the grant, you need to be incubated in a recognized incubator. And if you have a DSR certification, you can continue working from your lab itself.
One more comment, one more addition to what Vaibhav was saying. They are not going to extend the last day each time. So be watchful.
I called Vishu to ask, is there any possibility of extension?
Don't expect. Last 2 times it got extended, so it will extend today. That you wish your luck yourself.
I would like to request all the participants to switch on your video. So once you make a 100 crore company, I want to say that I spoke with you. And actually, we have several companies in BIZ who crossed actually 100 crore. And I will also request the partners from VIT, Aspire Banist, we have also to switch on. And it's good to see several awardees and their friends actually. So most of the teams come to IKP through friends, like my friend got last time, can I get? And that is actually a great starting. You can always start asking from the whatever work you are doing from there. We'll be happy to extend the conversation. Thank you. Have a good day. Ma'am, you are saying something?
I was just thanking you. Thank Dr. Visu and team for putting this together. It was nice meeting Dr. Rao, and all the team are happy to see Dr. Vaibhav being called in for this presentation, and very, very proud to have him here as our incubator. Thank you so much, Dr. Visu.
Thanks to Vishu.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thanks, Vishu. Thanks,
Thank
Dr.
you,
Vaibhav.
IKP team.
See you again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vishu and IKP team.